with that, first of all, I saw this as an opportunity for me and for my fellow African immigrants to express or to raise our voice on issues pertaining our life, our lives, especially during this pandemic time. I saw this project as an opportunity for me to learn new skills, new research methodology that I never learned when I was at school during my college.
So the highlight for me in participating in the Photo Voice project was meeting other community health workers who had a similar interest to me in terms of figuring out more health research on African immigrants, especially related to COVID-19. As a nurse, I think this is a very different perspective that I'm not always used to receiving education in.
The pandemic in the African community is a strange, very strange phenomenon for us. We have not been able to be who we are, shake hands, hug each other, meet each other. Now we are 6 feet apart. Many of us are suffering in our own home. Many of us are experiencing similar situation, and it is good to be able to realize that you are not alone. You are not alone. You have opportunity to ask questions. You have opportunity to hear from those who are going through the same situation. In the 6 New England states, our community in general will benefit from this.
Even though this project was conducted on Zoom and we're not able to meet in person, we had a great time. We were able to communicate with each other. We were able to laugh and joke, and we talked about our concerns. We talked about our needs. We talked about our worries. Every participant in the Photo Voice group that I had were immigrants from different backgrounds, different countries, but we shared the same thing, which is all of us had family members in these countries, and they were in situations that were even probably harder than they were here. So we were able to share this among us, and also the impact that COVID had on us as an immigrant community. And I have a story about one of the participants who is she recently lost her husband in the past 2 years. She's a single mom now, and she had some health issues, so she was invited to participate. And she called me right after the first session, and she said, this was really fun for me. I enjoyed talking to people. I have been having so much difficulties in the past year, especially, but this has been a great change, and I'm really excited to the other sessions. So thank you so much. And this was really, this hit me really hard. I loved having somebody being that excited about the sessions.
The project was good because it gave us the time to express our idea and our problem. Some has been resolved because of this project. For example, in our community, we had a problem with transportation, the way to go to take the coronavirus test. And with this project also, we have a chance to show other community, for example, white people, how African we was able to use natural medication such garlic, such lemon, and the other food which help us during this COVID.
Well, what we hope that the project does is that, it's sort of twofold. We want to, of course, develop strategies that will address some of the barriers that our community is dealing with, particularly related to COVID-19. And you'll hear a lot of what has come from the community and identifying what those barriers are. But we also want to use this as an opportunity to get our community engaged in research, engaged in not just being a part of research, but actually leading research, right? Defining what are the questions we need to be asking, right? How do we need to go about doing research? How can we ensure that our community voices are at the center of what we're doing? So it is about coming up with solutions to some of the challenges, but it's also about building a strong African network that is committed to centering the experiences, the lives of our African community, and creating these solutions and actually implementing these strategies.
This by itself is a form of community building. People can lean on one another. People have been leaning on one another. People have not had the opportunity to express the inner feeling that each person is going through or the family is experiencing. So this goal brings our anxieties to the forefront. It brings our concerns to the forefront. It brings frustrations to the forefront, isolation to the forefront. And we now recognize what we've been missing, each other. And this brings all of that into the same space that we benefit from one another. So the series of conversation, the series of photo voices, the images you're gonna see talks about our health, talks about what we are feeling, talks about how do we move forward? How can this temporary two year or year and a half so far set us back, and how do we pick up ourselves? We need each other. These are the benefits, not solely to the Africans, but to our larger community. Yes, these are the goals.
My hope for the project is that disparities in healthcare will decrease, and minorities, there will be more access to healthcare. There will be an increase in access to healthcare. Some of the feedback that I received from community members were the language barrier. They felt that they were not included in, for example, the advertisement.
My hope for the project is that this research will sort of help open the eyes of not only Africans living in Vermont and the other New England states, but eventually to provide more recommendations for people in the health departments and who hold power in changing policies. Because with the research, it was evident that there is a lack of research, knowledge, and resources in the African communities, is that we can use this research to bring Africans and health systems together to provide change for the future.
I hope for the project results. I hope and I think that it's gonna bring changes to the policymakers and all the stakeholders in general, like governments, policymakers, non-governmental organizations, yeah, and the whole communities, yeah, because the project maybe will give them the lesson that they have to involve African communities in anything that affects their lives, instead of doing something for us without us. So we need to be involved, especially in health issues.
So it is very important for us to have different folks attend the town hall meeting. We're looking to have African immigrants, community members, business owners. We also want healthcare providers, researchers, people who are engaged and committed to seeing a healthy African immigrant community, not just across their state, but also across the region and across the US. So it's very important that we have this diversity because we want to bring in different perspectives to hear what people are thinking in terms of what needs to be done to support the community, and also to make sure that we are thinking, being innovative in our thinking, right? Being creative in our thinking, because we know that we're dealing with some challenging issues and barriers that our community is dealing with, is struggling with. And so we want some of the best ideas and the best thinking to come up with some strong solutions that we will move forward as a collaboration and also engaging others and moving it forward.